Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. Hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far, and it's days like these as a fan of competitive Call of Duty. You just feel like there's something so special and fascinating about this esports. What a set of matches we had, especially the third one of the day. The storylines, the drama, the thumbnail material out of control, loads to dive into. Very much intrigued to hear your perspective in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed the video. Subscribe if you are new as always, I would greatly appreciate it. Don't forget to do that because there's so much more drama I'm sure to come over these coming days. Firstly, let's just crack right on. Wanted to mention real quick, so much to discuss. We're not going to be able to do the final two series of the day. So Toronto versus Boston, Los Angeles, Thieves versus FaZe, we shall discuss tomorrow morning. But well, we're going to go into plenty of stuff. Of course, OpTic versus FaZe, that was also going on today. 993 days after that was last the case in a LAN environment back at Anaheim 2019. The way that series worked out, OpTic reverse swept to win it. I suppose we'll see what happened in the coming minutes here. Firstly, just from Gizmo, right? Gizmo and Cellium having a good time before their matches today. And the first game is a bit of a taster, a bit of a warm-up, was Boston Breach versus the Paris Legion. This game one was actually kind of crazy because down 100 points on Bacage, that is usually an insurmountable advantage. But it's still, 10 managed to turn it around, 250-241 they win this game one in. The rest of the series does not go their way. Like, we kind of saw it yesterday, Paris Legion when they played Seattle Surge. The quality of the Call of Duty was not the highest. Lots of mistakes being made. I mean, I'm pretty sure TJ Clutcher 1 versus 3 that really should never have happened. Then cancelled all the very next round, just pops and injured a fuse. And like, Paris Legion, if anything, should have been down 2-0 in this series. Threw away some crazy rounds in the search. Like, what are they doing here? Like, Capsule's literally just sitting on the bomb site. They could peek him and kill him, but for some reason, I don't know how he got away with that one, to be honest. But yeah, Paris Legion doing Paris Legion things. Still, it looks better, right, with Gravity in the team. They did win a series. So, but still up against Boston. It felt like at the end of the day, probably the better team was going to end up winning. And Nero was absolutely out of control. This is probably the first series I've seen from Nero where he really dominates. Like, I think as yet, I kind of felt, was struggling to see evidence that Nero needs to be a mainstay in the Call of Duty League for years to come. This certainly was a series that stamped his authority. Like, he was absolutely phenomenal right here. The final series stats are pretty absurd as well. A 1.26 for Nero, 106 and 84 over the course of it. 3-1 to Boston. They survive in the tournament, at least for now. Paris bow out top 8, better than most people were expecting, in all honesty. Then we get into this series, the Battle of Europe, London Royal Ravens versus Toronto Ultra. I predicted earlier today a 3-1 in favour of London. That is exactly what we got, but it took a very long time indeed for us to actually get there. So yes, this game one was incredible, honestly. Like, London just doing London things. It's remarkable to watch the way they play hardpoint. Like, Ultra might have the rotation, they might have the setup, then Afro just comes in the front door, pops a two-piece, and all of a sudden they crack that baby right open. Not an actual baby, of course, that'd be horrific, but the hardpoint, you guys know what I'm saying. So yes, London win this one 250-235. Like, what a battle of these two teams. Like, there was also some kind of trash talk going down before the series between Gizmo and, good friends, but of course they certainly want to beat each other. And Ultra going into this, the number one team in Europe, London definitely had a different idea by the time we got to the end of the series. Game 2, though, was so frustrating as a fan. I honestly could not believe it was this bad. Like, they played one round, and I don't know who won the first round, who even remembers at this point, but like, Toronto won it, or London won it, or whatever, and then the next couple of rounds went by, like, basically the game crashed after one round, then they restarted it again, the game crashed again after one round. I think there's some sort of server issue, I don't exactly know what it is, but it's some problem which causes the game to crash. I guess they tried to fix it, because they changed the servers, or whatever they did, it took them ages to figure it out. They did it again, finally played about 2 or 3 more rounds, the game server crashes again, like, probably is the longest search, I imagine, in Call of Duty history, and eventually, London actually established a 5-2 advantage. So I think, okay, hang on a second here. London, at the end of the day, 5-2, they're going to close this out up 2-0, make it a quick series just to make sure that, okay, this series doesn't go as long as it could have done with this incredible delay that went down. Frustrating, not really sure. Like, obviously, it's not the player's fault or anything. Not sure what the CDL can do about this, whether it's the game's fault, right? But, sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't. Hopefully, they can get on top of this going forwards. Obviously, very frustrating from a fan perspective. And, in the end, though, Toronto make a crazy comeback. They come back from 5-2 and win 6-5. Like, I don't know how they clutch that one up. It was frustrating to see as a fan. I was kind of hoping this series would be done quickly, right, to make up for the delay, but it was not to be, and an ace actually from Cammy in the final round caps off the longest S&D in CDL history to level the series. So remarkable stuff, but in fairness, I'd really seen that, so far this season, that London, in terms of their resilience, are very good indeed. They don't tend to back down even if they kind of, lose a map they should have won. And they go on to win this series. Very impressed with their play and the control. They won a pretty impressive Gabato, I believe it was. And then it goes to a Berlin hardpoint, a map where Toronto was so good at the start of the year, in fairness, so were London, but a real back and forth affair. Remarkable the way this went down to the wire. Like, again, London just pulled some crazy stuff out every single time. These games were insane. And yes, 3-1 to London in the end. As I predicted, it was a crazy close series. We knew it kind of would be. London, if anything, maybe have established themselves now, at least for now, as the number one team in the European region. Quite remarkable to say that after last season, but yes, they guarantee themselves top 3 at this tournament after this victory against their their, well, European brethren in the Toronto Ultra. Zero had a phenomenal series at 1.40 over the, well, 2 of the maps in the hardpoint, at 1.38 overall. Gizmo did his thing in the Surge, like the other guys certainly pulled their weight as well. Very impressive from these guys, right, to move on in the tournament, to secure themselves top 3 at their first kind of proper LAN event with this team is a remarkable achievement. An incredibly exciting time, no doubt, to be a fan of European Call of Duty, but the team they'll go on to face in the winners bracket was going to be the winner of either FaZe versus OpTic. The last time that these two teams played on LAN was back in 2019 at CWL Anaheim when it was 5v5, like Dashy was still on the team at the time, Cammy was still playing, like a very long time ago indeed. So much has changed between now and then, but yeah, of course, Scump clutched the great crazy 1 versus 1. Zero was actually on the other team at the time that we just looked at now playing for London, but yeah, clutched this to complete the reverse sweep that OpTic pulled off over FaZe at this event. Now, well, would something similar happen today? I suppose we would just have to wait and find out. The venue was absolutely electric. I mean, it was electric at the start of the series. Like, I can't imagine what it was like to actually be there at the end. I'm sure if you guys attend to leave a comment right on what your thoughts were, because yeah, I imagine this is probably one of the craziest moments you've had in an audience. Like, Esports just does this, right? We just love to see it. And Call of Duty just have something special about it, especially for an OpTic FaZe series that's just this good. So game 1 was remarkable. aBeZy started game 1 like 2 in 10. Scump had a great start. Some other players on OpTic had a great start as well. And then aBeZy just absolutely went rogue. During this listening, he was out of control. Like, some of the kills he was getting were absurd. He was talking so much trash in the listening, right? And who could blame him, right? I mean, he was talking that saying the guys are trash, and why not? Of course, the crowd's going super hard, right? When they walk out on the stage, the boos come through. You could tell, right, that okay, FaZe were going to have to settle into that villain role a little bit and try and get the job done. I mean, Bacage Hardpoint, what better map could you ask for these two teams to play each other on? And it was aBeZy that really stole the show at the end of it. Like, yeah, he was making it very clear to the OpTic fans in the audience that he was, well, not a happy bunny with what they were kind of, well, talking to him before the map. And as this closes out to and FaZe win this game 1, relatively comfortable in the end for Bacage. He makes it very well known to the audience, like standing up, doing the kind of ear thing. What are you talking about, lads? Like, we're going to be the ones to close out and win this series. Now, well, it does not exactly go their way, but in fairness, it certainly looked like it would. After the first 2 maps, I really thought, okay, wow, FaZe really are just the better team here. Like, they are just incredibly difficult to beat. Because Simp decided game 2, okay, aBeZy, you took over game 1, no problem at all. I'm coming into game 2, I'm going to go 14-3. I'm going to drop an 8 kill streak. I'm going to completely take over Berlin. And this is kind of what I feared would happen to OpTic really in a situation like this. They have a close start to the series. They go down 1-0. They have a close start to the search and destroy. FaZe adapt. 1 player takes over. They go up 2-0. And at that point, like, the OpTic of old would certainly have crumbled in this situation. You guys remember that league match last year they played where they went down 2-0. Yes, it was online. And I think the whole ping discussion was held at the time. But it really felt like they basically just gave up at the point, right? And they were like, okay, there's no way we're winning this anyway. FaZe is just too good. But in fairness to OpTic, that did not happen to them at all in this series. There was actually some talk from Gunless here in a second that when they went to the listening in the control, that it was actually only iLLeY that was really giving it his all. But I felt even at this point down 2-0, like OpTic are a very good control team indeed. If they can win that, who knows what the momentum might do. But Attach and the like was saying, look, this Simp guy's out of control. And no doubt he was. But the way the series finished out was incredible, the way the momentum swung. But it seemed like the first couple of maps that, okay, everyone knew that FaZe was S tier, but OpTic, are they going to be S tier as well? Like, it didn't really seem like it. It seemed like they were a step above the first 2 games. But the control starts to go a different way. As Gunless says, iLLeY legit the only one trying in comms. Like, he was not happy with the way the OpTic guys were playing and communicating at this point, but Dashy was the one who came to play. Simp was completely shut down on this map 3. He went 17-33. Meanwhile, Dashy goes 34-17. The second day in a row where he's gone double positive on Tuscan control. This guy's a menace. That's the thing. If you're outslaying by that much, like, it's going to be very difficult to lose a map. They take it all the way to the final defense. There were some offensive rounds that could have been won, but in the end, it goes defense, 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 all the way. And OpTic take the job down in the end. Of course, well, Dashy slaying, certainly helping them get that round 5 defense as it worked out. Now we go into this game 4. This is when the rest of the team started to come alive. Dashy kind of went off on the main stage on that game 3, dragged his team through that game 3 to get them to the game 4, and then Scump decided to come to the party and take over the game. This was one of the most remarkable performances I've seen from an individual on a map like this in a very long time, especially on a role that isn't really your role. He's using the 3rd auto on this map right here. Like, at Scump with the auto, he's always said that if you give him an AR, he's going to be like dominant with it. He just uses the SMG, and he goes 33-14, I believe, on this map. He has a remarkable start. He gets streaks as well, and at FaZe start to make a comeback. Honestly, there were a few moments where OpTic, if anything, could have been even cleaner on this game, but in the end, 250 to like 170 or something, 186, I believe, it finishes out as. iLLeY makes a fantastic play to help get the squad spawns on this final rotation, and Scump finishes the game 33-14 with a fair bit of hill time as well to boot. I guess the rest of the team was picking up most of the hill time. This guy was just getting all the kills. Like, I mean, what a map from him. Goes 250, 186 to get to the game 5, and then as soon as the game 5 happens, the momentum was fully in favor of the OpTic guys, and it was quite remarkable to see, because FaZe usually in game 5, they're such a strong team. I predicted earlier today FaZe to beat OpTic in a game 5. Just the way the series went, it felt like OpTic were in the driver's seat, right? And this is the thing, in previous OpTic teams, we saw it last year a lot. They could get to this point, they might manage the reverse sweep or win 2 maps or whatever, get to this point in the series, and then it would fall apart, right? Then OpTic might go up 2-0, then FaZe would win a couple of rounds, like it would collapse a little bit. This time there was nothing about that, right? The backs were against the wall after game 2, they completely spun the series around, and they just maintained the momentum. Of course, the crowd was there behind them as well, that certainly helps. I'm sure FaZe just felt like, okay, well, there's nothing we can do at this point, and I was honestly so impressed with OpTic's, discipline in this game. This is probably the most disciplined I've ever seen OpTic play Search and Destroy. Like, generally, every OpTic team I've ever watched, I don't think I've seen the Search and Destroy this disciplined, especially in the more recent era. They got an awful lot of first bloods this game, but every single time they got a first blood, on offense or defense, whatever it was, they would, well, on defense, often they would just kind of group up and decide, okay, we can give up a plant, we're just going to play the retake ourselves, or on offense, they would literally get the first kill and sit there for like a minute and say, look, well, if someone wants to make a re-aggression, we'll take advantage of that mistake. If not, we're just going to let these guys kind of figure out where they're going, what's going on. Like, and what happened a lot of the time is they'd get the first blood on offense, for example, OpTic, they would just sit there and kind of sit back and relax, and FaZe would think, okay, wow, we have to kind of do something, let's maybe stack up and stack our forces over towards A, and then OpTic would have the time to kind of read that, see what's going on, rotate to B, get the bomb down. Like, it was so clinical, I was incredibly impressed. FaZe are incredibly good at Search and Destroy. OpTic came in, we saw Rambo saying a couple of days ago, he thinks their Search and Destroy is their best game mode. They certainly proved it right here. Like, not only were they incredibly well prepared for what FaZe were bringing to the table, but in the mid-round adjustments, they completely outplayed them every single round. Shotsy went off as well on this final map. Like, I mean, the final round as well was also ridiculous, because yes, OpTic were probably winning at this point anyway, but it was like literally 7.5 seconds, I thought it was 7.4, when Illy picked up the bomb, just about gets the defuse, and that's a 6-0, right? So not only, they don't even lose one single round here, they get a 6-0 sweep in the game 5 Search and Destroy up against Atlanta FaZe to complete the reverse sweep. I'm not actually sure if this FaZe lineup has ever been reverse swept, and they probably didn't last year, to be perfectly honest, and therefore they probably haven't ever. This might well be, I'm not 100% sure of that, don't fully quote me on it, but I wouldn't be surprised if that's the case at all. I don't even know if Simp is a player. Well, Scump's headset just went flying, that was actually insane, but yeah, like, look at this, that picture goes so hard, by the way, that we'll have to look at it in a second. Of course, well, Crone tweets this one out, because aBeZy in that game 5 went 0-6. Very rare that you see a player of aBeZy standards after what was happening in the game 1, like, this ends up as the series closes out, and this was the other side of the story in the OpTic side, right? Dashy throwing the choke symbol up there, the rest of the guys having a good time. I mean, yeah, what a phenomenal series. I did not think this was happening when OpTic were down 2-0. I still thought there was a chance in control they can maybe get some momentum, but this just shows a different caliber of OpTic to what we've seen in the previous few years. Like, when the pressure's on, backs against the wall, they're still there, the resilience is there, and the ability to just dominate FaZe as they did and break them down really the last few maps was quite remarkable. Scump finishes with a 1.27, 103 kills, like, but Dashy has the most damage in the lobby, 12,000 damage, 1.42 KD from him, like, yeah, and Shotsy doesn't even have to do all that much, to be honest. He does great in the game 5, rest of the series wasn't doing that much, but it does not matter. And this is what some of the OpTic guys have to say. Let's go, GG's FaZe, what a series, advance tomorrow for the winners finals. London versus OpTic will be played tomorrow on the winner side. Both teams now guarantee top 3. Some further reaction right as Shotsy says, played to average that series, glad I was able to make up for it in that game 5. And again, job's not finished, right? That's kind of the key thing they were talking about in their interviews. Look, great series victory, what we saw in stage 5 last year, even though it was online. OpTic beat FaZe in the game 5 that time, and then they took their foot off the gas a little bit. Certainly, I'm sure they're not going to do that this weekend, but you know, they've got to focus up for the London series, of course. Simp doesn't really say all that much, I'm not surprised, right? His mentions, I'm sure, are out of control. GG's OpTic lost 2-3, losers run, here we go. We'll talk about how that one went tomorrow morning, and just to finish out with this, 993 days apart, same organisation, same casters, same OpTic reverse sweep. What a day for Call of Duty, COD's just unmatched. Very much intrigued to your thoughts on all this stuff in the comment section below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy it, hit the like button, tell us the YouTube gods, this is a good video, others like you should see it as well, and upgrade the competitive Call of Duty community. Thank you as always, take care, and I will see you next time.